Tune into the Green and Growing program on Eagle Community Television with Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Agent. Holly will identify common lawn and garden issues and provide up-to-date information weekdays at noon and 9 p.m. on Channel 14. Green and Growing. Brought to you by Eagle Community Television and Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40 next to the Bickles-Schmidt Sports Complex.
Well, September is a time that we think maybe we'll start picking some pumpkins, but sometimes when you have really hot weather or droughty conditions, you can have pumpkins or other squash mature earlier than normal. And so I'm going to talk about how to decide if it's ready to pick. We have some pumpkins planted here at the Ag Research Center, and they are not all ready to pick. There are a few smaller ones that are, but this one here in front of me still has lots of green. So that's a good indication. You want to make sure you know what the variety is, what's it supposed to look like when it's fully mature. These are supposed to be completely orange, so you want a deep orange color. The other big thing is that the stems have started to dry down, usually have lost any juiciness. And the biggest test, or the easiest test I should say, is you want to check the rind. For winter squash, pumpkins, Hubbard, those types of squashes, the rind should be very tough. And so you can take your thumbnail and push into the rind. If you can easily penetrate or puncture that vine, or that rind, excuse me, then it is not ready to pick. So leave it on the vine for an extended period of time. If it's real tough, hard, then you can go ahead and pick it, and then you want to cure those pumpkins actually for a time before you actually take them inside or sell them or distribute them. One thing I wanted to mention with pumpkins and other squash in particular is that this is the time of year that second generation of squash bugs is very active. And so you want to be very vigilant about checking your plants, making sure that those squash bugs haven't taken a hold of your garden plants and get them under control, because once that second generation becomes fully mature, they are devastating a lot of times to your pumpkin plantings. Now, there are other vine crops that are being harvested at this time of year. Some of those include watermelons, which that one is a little bit more difficult to determine the maturity on a watermelon. I have some of those at home, and I've had a little bit of trouble deciding if it's really ripe or not. But one of the things you want to look for is on watermelons, a lot of times they have a tendril just on the other side of that stem that attaches to the watermelon, and that will dry down. So that's a good indication that maybe that watermelon is about ripe. The other thing is a lot of times you'll have a ground spot where that watermelon actually sits on the ground, and that will turn a lemon yellow or creamy color. That's another indication. Actually hitting the watermelon or thumping it is not a good indication of ripeness, and so you don't want to rely on that. For cantaloupes, a lot of times it's easy to tell if they're ripe by just simply picking them up. If they are fully ripe, a lot of varieties will just slip or release from the stem, and so that's a good indication. Another way to tell is if they have that nice ripe cantaloupe smell. So you can go ahead and kind of feel around the stem or the blossom end, and if it's a little bit soft, smells real nice and ripe, then it's ready to pick. If you have questions about pumpkins or harvesting other vine crops, contact your local extension office for more information. Reporting for K-State Research and Extension, Eagle TV, I'm Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Extension Agent.
Tune into the Green and Growing program on Eagle Community Television with Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Agent. Holly will identify common lawn and garden issues and provide up-to-date information weekdays at noon and 9 p.m. on Channel 14. Green and Growing. Brought to you by Eagle Community Television and Riedel's Garden Center, a full-service garden center west of Hayes on Highway 40 next to the Bickles-Schmidt Sports Complex.